Thank you for tuning into Cytology 101. I'm your host, Brittany Robinson. We'll get into the challenges of the dental industry, empower leaders to inspire their teams, and foster collaboration between office team members and practice owners. Together, we'll find creative solutions to get shit done. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode. I am super giggity because it's the first time we have Brittany Rogars on the podcast today. And this is going to be a really fun episode. If anyone who has gone to our workshops or who has followed us or even joined some of our group training calls and things like that, thank you so much, Brittany, for carving out the time to chat with me on this episode. So let's get into it. For those of you who don't know Brittany, tell us about yourself. How did you get into dentistry?
How much time we got here, Sid? So the short version of the story is I got into dentistry completely on accident. I applied for a job that I was completely underqualified for, somehow stuck the interview and got the job. And I was a front desk coordinator. I did some treatment coordinating. I then went on to help as like an interim office manager, then led their billing department as they grew to more locations, then became the operations manager. So I wore a few different hats inside a dental practice. I really loved all the different elements of what I was doing, but in as far as my favorite thing to do in dentistry, I really liked helping to create the billing department the best because I love nothing more than getting on the phone with an angry patient, because I love when they're like, I hate you. And then at the end, they're like, oh my gosh, you're so great. Have a wonderful day. It's like the most rewarding thing ever to me. Anytime I can get on a phone call with an angry patient, that's a win for me. But that's how I got into it.
I feel like that's a classic story for some of us. You hear those ones where I love dentistry. I've always wanted to be in dentistry. And let's be real, there's that small percentage of people that is, yeah, dentistry was my jam ever since I was a kid. I wanted to clean teeth and things like that, or I always wanted to become a billing coordinator. But for some of us, just like you, just landed in dentistry, didn't even know like it was a real thing, or obviously we knew it was a real thing.
I hadn't been to the dentist in 10 years before I got the job. It was crazy.
I think that's a classic story that we hear a lot from whether we're going and we're doing a group training call, we're getting to know all of our members or whatnot. And I find that that story is really common. And then go into just you and I have that same thing where I was like one of those rogue childs who y'all know I am very free spirit. And we don't have to get into that story today, but y'all, I just did not know what I wanted to do with my life and I wanted to have fun. And I had someone as, no, you need a job. So go work. And yeah, fell into dentistry, right? Oh, this seems easy enough. And so it's just funny that, hey, this is the start. But then in there, you found something that you really like and that you love, and that now you've created a whole business around it. So how did you go from being a director of operations going to, I think you worked for a large practice too, where you were doing solely their billing. What made you transition from working in the practice to moving on to more of coaching and account revenue cycles?
I tell the story differently depending on who asks, but we'll be real honest here. So during the COVID times when everybody was at home chilling, making sourdough, I was in the office mapping out like on a giant one of those giant whiteboards. I was mapping out like how each of our like 8 locations were in network with every carrier. I'm sifting through EOBs. It's like that like Charlie Day meme where he's got all the post-its on the board, and like that was me trying to figure out how everybody was in network with everything. So when everybody got this like moment of like fresh air, I was the most stressed I had ever been at work, and I was there working constantly. So I got tired and I started to burn out. And at that point, I started trying to wrap my head around how I could get out of the like day to day being in the office. This then compounded as I was part of our acquisition team. So I would often go into offices who, to be honest, you don't really usually acquire an office that's got their shit together. So I'd go into these offices that have been very set in their ways. that were not super great for a business model for a long time and have to be like, oh, your doctor sold the practice. We own it now. I'm your boss. Your pay periods are changing. Your benefits are changing. Your boss is changing. Your software is changing. And nobody likes me. It's because I'm like the bearer of bad news. And then my 5-year anniversary rolled around, and one of our core values was like recognition. And as their longest standing employee at 5 years, I did not get any sort of recognition on that anniversary. And I was like, okay, I am not, this is not where I want to be anymore. I love certain parts of my job, but I know that this is not going to be good for my mental health long term. So then I took all the things that I love the most about my job, and I was like, let's completely unpreparedly try starting a business based on it, and magically it worked. So that is another long-winded answer, but that's how we got here. Just took everything that I liked the most about my job and turned it into something that I could do a little more sustainably.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that. Do you know how many people we talk to that is in this position and they're office managers or even treatment coordinators or leads? And like you said, that recognition piece where we feel like at the end of the day, my favorite one is a workhorse or a hamster on a wheel. Like we're just
Mhm.
going through the motions, or we feel like we're just giving it our all 100%, and we're not spending time with our family. We're too tired. And one of your core values that you truly believed with that practice, that we're not even practicing what we're preaching. And then that's how we lose good people. And it's funny that you said that because we talk a lot about culture in FOA coaching. We talk a lot, and sometimes they're like, okay, I need you to train my team member. The true challenge may be that person actually may be brilliant, but because they're not getting that recognition and that bucket isn't filled for them, they don't want to give it their all. And they don't want any advice from us because they're hearing from us, oh, here's some helpful tips and tricks on how to have a healthy revenue cycle. But guess what? I can get this number up no matter what. It's never going to satisfy our leaders in our practice. So I'm happy that you shared that with people that are listening, because that goes back to a lot that we do talk about. And I'll be curious, when you had that conversation with your bosses or with the leaders or practice owners, what did that feel like when you didn't get that response that you were looking for?
So to start, I have nothing but love for this practice. Even now, I still keep in touch. I root for them. It just wasn't a fit for me personally anymore. Did I have the conversation? Yes, I did. After a week of them not mentioning anything about the anniversary. And I am not subtle, guys. I don't know if you've ever met me, but I walked in on my anniversary like 5 years. I'm here. I'm the best. Nobody said anything. So like it was, I was not subtle about the fact that like I was celebrating it. Week later, talked to my boss about it, and I was like, hey, like, I'm not gonna lie, that actually really hurt my feelings a lot. Like, I'm here busting my butt, and I didn't even get like a pat on the back, thank you, nothing. So I did have that conversation with her, and she was like, I totally get where you're coming from. Thank you for 5 years. Then after the fact, got me flowers and a gift certificate or something. But she did say, you're up here in the ranks now. You're third in command. If you want to continue to grow with us and you want to continue to be here, you've got to get used to not having that recognition, because it is a thankless job to be a leader. And then I was like, don't know that I love that. I am a words of affirmation girly, as I have shared with you in the past. And if I don't get recognized for my hard work, I feel like I'm doing it for nothing. And that was something that was like, for me, not going, like, that wouldn't work long term. I would not like my job anymore if I knew that the only way to continue to grow is to be okay with not being celebrated for my wins.
Yeah. You know, what's funny that before you said that your words of affirmation, I literally wrote down, what is your love language?
Yep.
Because
We might work together.
yeah, the thing is just listening to this, right? It's, you are words of affirmation. And as leaders, especially our leaders that are listening to this, that story is huge because like she mentioned, you're third in command, right? But even on the flip side, that if you don't put that into your best practice as a leader, I'm the top person in FOA coaching, right? Founder, CEO. But I also have team members that will come up. Mine is not word of affirmation, it's acts of service. And I am like really low when it comes to words of affirmation, gifts, and then touch is absolutely zero. So I'm a bit difficult but my team knows that my love language is actually food. And so it's funny that we all have our things, but if you don't put that into your true culture, no matter where you are on that organization chart, you still need that. And so I find that really interesting to learn because a lot of leaders don't implement that into their best practices, into their core values. Finding out what people love language is, what makes them happy, what fills their bucket. So that's a really classic challenge that we see in leadership is that not knowing what is your team member's love language, and you are a perfect example. It was more of a that didn't fill my bucket. I do think that I'm going to move on because I've outgrown. And it's okay to outgrow a company.
For
And
sure.
you can definitely, just like a breakup, you can, well, friends to a certain extent, because I'm not talking to a dude after I've broken up with them. You're,
No, thank you.
yeah, you had your chance.
Bye.
You can still have love for an office after that happens. So now that you have found, hey, I love doing account revenue, I'm really baller at insurance and getting those claim pays, talking to patients and converting those upset patients into happy patients. How did you get into open dental? Because you also do open dental training, which I find really a niche too, because open dental back then wasn't as baller as it is as of right now. So tell me how you got into that.
So when I started at that first practice that I worked at, they were on Desco, which is a practice management software that's based out of Wisconsin. It's a local, hasn't been updated since 1982. Shout out Desco. But they were getting ready to convert because they knew they were going to grow. So they knew they were going to get ready to grow. So they were switching to a different software. I had just found out I was pregnant with my second kiddo and it was a high risk pregnancy. So I was on bed rest. So they were like, girl, we still need you to do some work. I was like, thank you, because I got bills to pay. And they said, take your laptop, lay in bed, learn every single thing you can about this new software. It's called like Open Dental or something. So I spent multiple weeks of just being stuck in bed learning what makes the software tick. And I have never really been like a software or a techie person prior to this. But as I started to see like how the software worked and what made it tick, I was like, oh, I can learn this and I can master it and I can make it work for us, instead of what we were doing before was adapting all of our SOPs to fit our old software. I'm like, no, let's do this how we want to do it. And then I'll make the software fit it. And that's what I did. So then every time we bought a new practice, we'd convert them to open dental. I would do the setup and the training. And then they were like, we've got a friend down the road who's converting to open dental. Why don't I lend you to them? And then you can go do that for them. So I was already doing this open dental type consulting when I worked for a practice. So then when they were like, hey, we're not going to be able to give you any recognition moving forward, I was like, okay, I've got tools in my toolkit that I built for this company. I can do that again for myself. And I know that Open Dental is one of the fastest growing softwares out there. So I know there's a need for it. And I also know Open Dental training is limited. So that's how I got into it and how I was able to start to share that with all of the offices that I get to work with now.
Again, just another story that, hey, I found something that I'm good at. I love that you're like, I'm on bed rest and I still have to pay bills. So what can I do?
Seriously.
And again, that whole core value, grit. I'm going to go above and beyond. I'm not a tech person, but you know what? If I'm going to still contribute to the office success or our acquisition success, I'm going to step outside my comfort zone and I'm going to learn something new. And you just took it and ran with it and created a whole business off of it.
I'm really good with numbers and I'm really good with problem solving in a unique way. So that's always been something that's called to me. But then when I started the business, I wanted to start a billing company. And it was post COVID. So everyone and their grandma already had a billing company and it was a competitive market. I don't like to come from a place of desperation when I'm making a business decision. I don't want to compromise my values in order to be able to get clients. And there just didn't seem to be a version of the world where I could have a billing company and not say yes to everybody who wanted services. So I decided to spin that and offer RCM coaching, teach them how to do it themselves, while also converting people to open dental, cleaning up messes in their existing software, training their new team members.
I like what you said about not compromising. Essentially, again, that girl, you're all about your core values and what you
You know
stand for. That is
it.
definitely a recurring theme here. And I love that, especially being a business owner and starting out, you do want to bring in those clients. And I, for one, can 100% agree with you. And I like that you really stand for something and you don't see that a lot. So when you're doing your trainings, whether it's RCM or it's an open dental training, because you actually also go into the practice, what is one of the top trending challenges that you see offices have?
A lot of the times when I'm working with offices, you don't typically hire help until it's a little bit, I don't want to say too late because it's not like it's too
No,
late,
you
but
can
like
say it. It's,
until it's
it
already a little bit of a dumpster fire.
Go ahead and call it what it is. This is a judgment-free, but we judge podcast,
Yeah,
okay?
we listen and we do judge, but we'll still help you. Um, so they don't really hire help until they're at a point where they really need help last year. So we come in and we're trying to reinvent the wheel a little bit. Like we're starting from the ground up. So maybe they're an office that they learned how to do billing from their OM who worked here for 30 years and has been retired for 10, but they're still doing it that way. Or they're only running billing like once a month and they don't bill Susie because she is the doctor's third cousin's ex-wife. And so like they just don't have a system. And that's really what it boils down to. The recurring challenge that we see is that you don't have anything written down. You don't know what your actual office policy is for these things. You're just out here vibing and then wondering why you're not making any money.
And waiting until it's a dumpster fire. And Susie may have just quit, and now you only have Sandy. And Sandy's, that's not my job. And then you hire someone who filled in for Susie, and now they're the ones who have to take on this dumpster fire. But then now you're looking at the new Susie. Hey, why haven't you cleaned this up? And she's, this is a shit show. I don't know
Right.
what you want from me, sir, ma'am. And I see that a lot too. When I became an office manager, I'm not going to pretend like I was like awesome out the gate. No, I fucking sucked. I expected my team members, oh, you don't know this? Why don't you know this when you've been doing this for 5 or 6 years? Hang on, let's pump the brakes a minute. Maybe they've been doing this for 5 or 6 years, but doesn't mean that they've been doing it correctly. So, you know,
Exactly.
it goes back to setting those realistic expectations. You may have maybe a rookie or you can be a veteran, but there's always room for growth. This brings me to a really good topic that actually just happened. How do you create this trust and vulnerability within team members to actually connect with you, to talk with you about, okay, I have not been doing this. How do you get past the egos whenever you are working with someone who has been doing billing for a while?
So this also, once again, we're going to take it back to core values, mission, vision, all the things. Because if the people on your team are in alignment for where you want to be, it's going to make it a lot easier to steer the ship in that direction. So, one, making sure that we're all in alignment for where we want to go. I don't like it when someone comes in and tells me I'm doing something wrong. Bitch, no, I'm not. I clearly know everything. So I don't like it either. So I try to always approach it, especially like from a coaching perspective, right? So every day I've got to go meet new people and I've got to go help them learn things quickly. We don't have a 40-year tenure of working together where we've got this relationship built. I always start by trying to get to know the person I'm working with a little bit. How are your kids? How are your grandkids? How was that vacation? Making a personal connection with who I'm working with. Now we've got our core values and we've got rapport. We know where we're going. And then it becomes easier.
It's always great to have someone like that on your team. I'm the polar opposite. I like to sit in my corner and just,
I don't believe that at all.
oh, girl, it is out. This is not my normal habitat. I do not like to be outgoing. I am the one that's okay, fine, and I'll go along with it. I have a real dominant personality as well, which can be negative, right? But what I learned throughout my leadership journey, that when I first became a leader, I was a shitty leader because
Same.
it was more of a dictatorship with me.
Yeah.
And I had to really learn and understand people. I am not people smart, not whatsoever. I could not walk into a room and read it to save my life. I'm like, I don't care, because guess what? I really don't want to make that emotional connection with you. But
Mhm.
that was my personal problem. And I had to figure out, although at home, I can get away with that. And my family knows, okay, wait, mom isn't going to go talk to the other moms. You talked about sourdough. My son plays 7-on-7, and I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but it's essentially football. But they have all these darn tournaments, and God forbid they win. Now you're there all day, right? And it's just like you start from 8 in the morning, and it can go all the way until 8 at night. Long story short, I had to sit next to this group of moms talking about fucking sourdough bread for about 45 minutes, and I almost lost it. I'm like, I'm trying to watch my son play football. This is not my environment, right? So that is not who I am. And I just really had to check myself as a leader, because I may have had that ego that I talk about, and I talk off of experience because I wasn't the best.
Mhm.
And once I figured out that I was the problem, that it was me, and I had to really fix that, I was really a go-getter type person. I worked 3 times as hard as anybody in there, but that still doesn't make me a good team member. And where I'm going with all of this is that sometimes when I go into an office, I can recognize that right away. Or when I'm on the phone, I can recognize that right away. So one of my fun things that I like to do is I like to ask a question that throws them off, completely off. And now that's the difference. I will ask an off the wall question and give zero F words. We could be talking about insurance and calling insurance company, and then I'll just bust out with a random question. Who's your celebrity crush, just to throw them off, not something typical. And then in addition to that, again, I put myself where I used to be, how stubborn I used to be and dominant. And I thought I knew everything because you couldn't tell me anything. I don't want to go into this conversation with telling people what to do. And it's for that reason of I want to have more of a collaborative conversation. I want to hear what the challenges are. But I do find that we do have to create that trust, and we have to let them know. And sometimes I have to be direct and say, I want you to be vulnerable with me, to tell me what you don't know and what you don't like. Because if you don't tell us, we can't fix it. And your doctor or your leader or someone has invested in this, and they didn't invest in it just because they want more cash flow. It's because if they're investing in you, they see something in you that could really help grow not only yourself, but also the practice. So I know we're coming to a close on this episode, and I always like to ask this, especially with you being a badass an entrepreneur. You're doing speaking engagement, you have SKF, you're working with FOA coaching, you're doing all of these things. And it's really important to us with our core values is to have a healthy work-life balance.
Mm.
How do you separate the two with so much that you have going on? What do you do to have that healthy work-life balance?
So, a couple of different things. First and foremost, I don't know that I fully believe in work life balance because I think there are always going to be certain areas of your life that require more attention at certain times. But I try and get it as close to balanced as I can. And I do that by getting help. First of all, we've got someone who comes and cleans my house once a week because I don't have time to scrub the toilet, nor would I if I did. So I like to, I try and get help wherever I can. I don't have a lot of family in this particular area, so it's not like I can just say, okay, my aunt is going to watch my kids today, so I can do the things. But I do outsource in my day to day life whenever I can. So there's a little bit less burden on me. I also have a stellar team at work who is willing to take on a little bit extra here and there to try and help with some of that balance. And then I also make sure that like when I'm building my schedule for the day, there is at least one thing in that schedule every single day that is for me and for me alone. So that way I can fill my own cup before I try to give any energy to everybody else. And then I
Yeah.
always make sure every single night that I have dinner with my family and we do like a We do a super woo-woo gratitude practice every day at dinner where everybody goes around and talks about what the 3 things that they're most grateful for that day. So do something for myself and do a gratitude practice with my family are like the 2 ways that I keep myself level-headed when I've got a lot going on.
I respect that so fucking much, especially when you say, I don't think there's ever really a true balance because there always is going to be something that takes your focus. And I respect that 100% because although we do have these things that pop up, even for me, my biggest thing is I may end up working on a weekend, but I love what you said about taking something for you. So I actually don't start my day as early as most people think that I do, because I know that either my day is going to run long or I may not be able to do, like you said, one thing. So I'm going to start my day at this time, but in the morning, I got to have my coffee. I got to sit down and at least do 15 reading of whatever book that I'm on, or at least listen to it. And y'all know I like those spicy books too. So I respect that so much. I love that. And I like the gratitude thing that you do at your family. Family is really important to me too. So I love that you do that. So as we wrap up here, and I know that you have all of these amazing things that you do and you have going on, what is your book and how can they go and find that? Because that is baller and it's gold within itself.
Thank you. So the Dental Revenue Cycle Blueprint is the book. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on our website. Those are really the 2 main places to get it right now. So Dental Revenue Cycle Blueprint is the name. You'll find it because it's got a cute blue cover and my face on it. So that's where you can find it. To find me, my business is SKF Practice Solutions. There's a lot of letters because I also do FOA coaching. It's just like lots of letters, but I'm on all of the social medias as Brittany Rogars and as SKF Practice Solutions. So whether you're Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, you'll find me somewhere.
And then you actually have a workshop coming up in October.
I
Tell us a
do.
little bit about that.
So we're going to have really cool speakers at this awesome event in October for open dental software users. Sydney will be there. So October 4th in Brookfield, Wisconsin, we are doing our very first open dental users workshop where we're going to be teaching how to use your software in the smartest way possible, how to work smarter, not harder. We're also going to have some speakers who aren't necessarily open dental or even dental related. We're going to talk about like mindset and how to apply that to treatment planning, how to have a healthy relationship with the finances in your practice. So we're going to cover lots of different topics at this event. It's going to be so much fun. It's a 1-day event. It's geared towards the entire team. So bring as many of your team members as you can. We're going to have clinical tracks. We're going to have administrative tracks. We're going to have something in the middle. It's going to be a really good time. It is also a dry event, which we're really excited about. So we will have like mocktails and fun little things where we can all have fun without alcohol. However, we are in Wisconsin. So if you want beer and cheese, there's tons of places to get it too.
I love that. That's super cool. I can't wait for the mocktails. I am super excited. I hope that we see all of our people there. Go now. So let's stop playing games and can register for that event. I will have the links inside of the show notes as well. So thank you so much, Brittany, for your time. This is really fun. I love when I just get to be myself and get to shoot the shit with someone, but also it's really good to hear your story because I know a lot of people can relate to that.
Thank you very much for having me. This is so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all. We just finished up a really beautiful episode with one of my great friends and now like mentors because I learned so much from her every single day, Brittany Rogars. Make sure that you guys go and visit her site and take a look at all the awesome things that she has going. This has been another episode of Sourdough 101. Today's episode was sponsored by FOA Coaching. If you would like to find out more about team training or personalized coaching, visit foacoaching.com. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Sourdough 101. Until next time, friends.